Thank you, Chicago, for this humbling victory. All I can say, you sure know how to make a guy feel at home.
Ah! That guy at the end's awesome. I don't know who it is, but damn, he is pumped for some Mayor Rahm Emanuel.
Thank you, Chicago, for this humbling victory. All I can say, you sure know how to make a guy feel at home.
Ah!
Oh my goodness, that's Mayor Rahm. I think that's the night he won in 2011. And then we determined that the guy yelling "yeah" was at another event.
Well, for Jeannie Ives, yeah, because it sounds just like that random person yelling. Jeannie Ives is like, "And I am gonna run for governor," and you hear this guy, "Oh hell yeah!"
Guys, so seriously, who out there would be so excited about Rahm winning? You know what I mean? It's like the power elite holding on. I wouldn't even say taking control of Chicago, holding on to Chicago.
Oh,
who would be so excited?
Well, that guy. Shout out to Tina on the live stream chat. Tina, welcome. She says, "Hey, it only took me 1,001 shows, but I finally made it to the live stream chat."
Actually, it's just 1,001. Yeah, 1,000. Wow. Sunrise, sunset.
Yeah.
Where was that little Danny I once knew?
Oh, guys, hang tight. We got a little more singing, and then there's going to be news, okay? Your Ben Joravsky show for Friday, April 30th is just moments away. But before we do this, we need to thank our unions, or our sponsors, like SEIU Healthcare, Illinois, Indiana.
Thank you, Chicago.
The Chicago Federation of Labor are sponsors.
Thank you, Chicago.
And, of course, Chicago Reader. ChicagoReader.com for all things there is to know the city of Chicago. Where to go, what to do, what to eat, what to drink, what to smoke. Yeah, they talk about reefer in this thing. And what to think politically with columns from our very own Ben Joravsky and Maya Dukmasova. Speaking of, Ben, what's the latest column in Chicago Reader all about?
LeBron James.
Oh.
LeBron James, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. We haven't talked about this on the show this week. I'm trying to think.
I believe not.
Maybe briefly.
Maybe
briefly, but I wrote about LeBron James. And so, Dennis, there's a political end to this, so you're going to allow me to talk about it, even though it's a basketball related. For some of my really intensely political followers who don't know the world of sports, LeBron James is perhaps the greatest basketball player of this generation.
If you didn't know that, by the way, wake up. Where you been?
You know, D, I've told you this before. In journalism, you take nothing for granted. Okay? There may be somebody out there who did not know who LeBron James was. Now he does. Because I did not know that. Anyway, I talk about how LeBron James is being used by the right, MAGA, to fire up their base, get them really mad. And then I get into the issue of, like, does race matter in America? And how come race doesn't matter, in quotes, when LeBron James is talking about police shootings of black people, but race does matter when a black conservative like Tim Scott is complaining that he's picked on because he's a black conservative? Just a question I throw out to you, MAGA.
You know, I got a feeling after this week's shows, you're not a fan of this Tim Scott.
Tim Scott.
Starting to learn
Not
that.
A fan. Not a fan of Tim Scott.
But that column and over a decade of Chicago Reader columns from our very own Ben Joravsky are posted at chicagoreader.com. All right. And if you want to help out this program, chicagoreader.com/Joravsky, Jorav as in Victory, SKY. You can become a Ben head. That is what we call avid listeners of this program. A 3-tier system. You can either be in the alley, the Avenue, or live in large on Biddy Boulevard. Either way, it's your choice. Go help out the Ben Joravsky Show, or don't. Just keep listening. Do what you want to do. The Ben Joravsky Show starts now. It is Friday, April 30th, and live from my apartment and his attic, this is the Ben Joravsky Show's Oh, What a Week It Was. Today on the program, a mayor and her aldermen, Rauner returns, and so much more. But now your host, Chicago Reader columnist Ben Jarofsky.
Hey, hello, everybody. Ben Jarofsky here. We're calling this Heir to Daley Dynasty Indicted Friday. I'm just reading the front page of my beloved bright one, the Chicago Sun-Times, one delivered every day. Heir to Daley Dynasty Indicted, Alderman Patrick Daley Thompson, who faces 7 charges related to loans from Bridgeport Bank, declares, quote, "I am innocent." Sun-Times is all over this story. And ladies and gentlemen, the Sun-Times was wrestling with how to explain to the public, the millennialistic public. See, D, this just proves my point. I felt compelled to explain who LeBron James was on the grounds that there might be some, people out there who don't know who LeBron James is. And yet, the Sun-Times felt compelled to explain who Patrick Daley Thompson is on the grounds that there are people out there who don't know what a Daley is in the city of Chicago. Well, new residents of the city may not be aware that there's a family called Daley that ruled this town for years and years. So you see what I'm saying, D? Everybody's got to explain. You got to assume that the public's not that bright, and you got to help them out a little bit. I was just having a conversation with Dixon Romeo, which we'll be dropping as a bonus feature this weekend, a young activist from the south side of Chicago, and he referred to Mortal Kombat, a movie, Mortal Kombat. D had to explain to me what Mortal Kombat was.
Really? Get over here.
I actually knew that it was spelled with a K, not a C. How about that?
There we go. That's all you need to know.
But anyway, Patrick Daley Thompson. So the Sun-Times is struggling. He's the alderman. He was indicted. We'll get into this later. This is a key part of the week that was, or what a week. Excuse me, I get the title mixed up. That's the COVID kicking in. Anyways, do you define him in relation to his uncle, Mayor Richard M. Daley, mayor of the city of Chicago, that even millennials can remember? Or do you define him in terms of his grandfather, the all-powerful Richard J. Daley, who was mayor of the city of Chicago from 1955 to 1976? Oh, struggles. Anyway, heir to Daley Dynasty Indicted. Wow, a Daley was indicted. That's never happened in the city of Chicago, D. A Daley indicted. Anyway, that's just one topic that we're going to be exploring on our weekly show. Oh, what a week. And without further ado, the maestro who leads us on this weekly exploration of the news that has gone down. Yes, the young man from Alden, the man that every single Mayor Daley that Chicago has ever has calls the doctor. Take it away, Dr. D.
Thank you. Name's Dennis, and it's oh, what a week it was. Maybe not the catchiest title I'm learning. I don't know.
We got to work on that title.
I like it.
Let's get a marketing crew in there, right? Where's our marketing crew for this show?
Oh, wait, we got him. It's me. How's it going?
Okay. Do a reader survey or something like that. No, a focus group. Let's get some of our listeners together in a room, give them a Subway sandwich and ask them, so what do you think?
I mean,
what should we call?
It explains we're talking about the news of the week. Oh, what a week it was. I don't see the problem here. But anyway, my name is Dennis. Let's talk to local news. And oh, what a week it was in the city of Chicago. Now, of course, we have bad news to discuss. A couple of shady aldermen, past and present. Well, our former mayor's in the national news again. Well, that's always bad.
I just biked around Lake Michigan.
But hey, let's begin on a positive note for a change. What do you say, Ben?
Okay, sounds good. What possibly could be positive in the news?
Well, I'll tell you, and for once, I sincerely mean this question. No sarcasm whatsoever. Ben Jarofsky, how about those Chicago Bears, huh?
Bear down, Chicago Bears.
Now, typically, I don't allow sports talk on this program, but boy, such a good day for the Chicago Bears last night in the NFL draft. Ben, why don't you explain?
Well, the reason why you're allowing me to have this sports interlude is because there's a political overlap. And for about 4 years, I've been ranting and raving about the Chicago Bears, a team I've rooted for since 1966, ladies and gentlemen. That's how old I am. 1966.
Good Lord.
Gale Sayers, Dick Butkus, Jack Kuncannon, Dick Gordon, Ed O'Bradovich. Yeah, I'm a Bears fan. But then as time wore on, I began, you know what? This Bear team's got some issues when it comes to race. And I'm just saying, they never get a black quarterback. And I'm like, in football, there's always that prejudice against a black person playing quarterback. Well, you know, they better off as defensive backs, Ben. They're better off as speedy receivers. We don't want them being the quarterback. I could never understand it. You know, prejudice in the United States, ladies and gentlemen. Better get used to it. But for me, it was just, I couldn't take it anymore when in 2017, the Chicago Bears in the draft chose Mitch Trubisky to be their quarterback, overlooking a certain Patrick Mahomes, who is, in my opinion, one of the 3 greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen. They signed Mike Glennon as opposed to Colin Kaepernick. I just said, you know what? I'm through with the Bears. And every year, D, when Patrick Mahomes would just light it up, I'd be watching Patrick Mahomes on TV. He'd be throwing lasers. He'd be running. Guys would be chasing him. He'd be darting around, like throwing off the back of his foot. And then Mitch Trubisky would come out. I'm like, who could look at Mitch Trubisky and look at Patrick Mahomes and say, I think I'll take Trubisky over Mahomes. So I was through with the Bears. And then last night, lo and behold, they drafted Justin Fields, a quarterback from Ohio State, a black man. They actually drafted a black man to play quarterback. So I was texting all my friends, I'm back on the bandwagon. My friends were like, I can't believe it either. Bears got that reputation. By the way, I don't think you're going to read that in the sports section. That's the only kind of insight you're going to get from the Ben Joravsky show. It's kind of a touchy subject, whether the Bears are prejudiced against black quarterbacks. So, D, I was so excited. I was singing Bear Down, Chicago Bears. I was doing my imitation of Dick Butkus.
Ooh, that was good. What was it? No words. I like that. Good.
My friend Cap said he's so excited. He was doing backflips. He says that this quarterback is the greatest draft choice the Bears have made since Walter Payton.
I love you, Bears fans. So optimistic when the season is not going on. You guys are the biggest Bears fans when there's no football being played. Then about a week after actual football is played, screw this team.
No, Bear fans. The Bears, because Dennis is a good point. You know, he's from downstate. He's a Cardinal fan. Oh, God. Anyway,
go Redbirds.
So Bears, we experienced this firsthand, ladies and gentlemen, when we were at the Bright One, and they had us. Our lovely little studio at the Chicago Sun-Times, just down the hallway from the bathroom. Don't take it personal, Ben and Dennis. Anyway, there was the year after the Bears made the playoffs and lost in game 1 when their kicker couldn't kick the field goal. I got an idea. I'll hit the pole and see if I can bounce it in. Oh, God, don't remind me of that. Anyway, but everyone in Chicago was so enthusiastic. This is the year. We barely won. We lost a heartbreaker in the playoffs last year, but this year we're going to do it. And they had a pep rally at the Sun-Times. Remember, D? Remember the pep rally?
There was a cake.
Yeah, with a cake. Who are the only 2 people in the building not invited to the pep rally?
Oh, you know it.
It was an oversight, I'm sure. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot those 2 hippie guys. You know, the pot smoker and the old guy, the old commie, down by the bathroom. Oops. Oh, well. Anyway, we heard them. They were cheering and singing. And then the Bears went out and got clobbered by Green Bay. Oops. They didn't have a pep rally after that. No. So anyway, Bears, it's rough on Bear fans. We all excited, and then reality hits home. But speaking of the Bright One, you got to give them credit. All right, so the football player that the Bears drafted, his name is Justin Fields. And here's the headline.
Oh
NFL
boy,
draft.
I feel a pun coming.
The bright one. Just in time.
Okay.
Get it? Justin Fields is his name. Just in time. Oh, yeah.
That was just incredible.
Anyway, I'm very excited. I'm back in a bandwagon. My beloved Chicago Bears.
When's the season start again?
Well, the regular season starts in September.
All right, so look for a September fall off from Ben Joravsky. Damn this team!
Here's the thing. This is a double. A lot of sports talk in the Ben Joravsky show today. The dreaded Green Bay Packers. This is something that you may not know if you're a political junkie. So I'm just going to explain this. The rivalry, the chief rival, the Chicago Bears, are the Green Bay Packers, the team from Green Bay, which is a city in the state of Wisconsin, which is just north of Illinois.
Did you guys know you're getting a geography lesson today on the program?
Yeah, come on. I'm like the Sun-Times. I'm explaining literally everything. And so that's our chief rival. And they have a great quarterback named Aaron Rodgers. And it was a double victory for Bear fans yesterday because Aaron Rodgers announced yesterday, the word came out, that he no longer wants to play for the Green Bay Packers. Like, can you blame him? I mean, who wants to be in Green Bay? Sorry, cheeseheads. I didn't mean that. Anyway, Bear fans were already excited over that. And then they got Justin Fields, and they have a little hope. I was kind of hoping they would get Aaron Rodgers. Well, wouldn't that be a move, huh? Somehow or other bring the Green Bay quarterback to Chicago.
Well, I tell you what, guys, if you ever need tips on how to lose listeners in Wisconsin, just come here. We got your back. We'll give you all the advice.
All right, enough sports talk today.
But hey, that's good news. You know what I mean? The Bears finally drafted someone decent.
Yeah, they finally did.
But wait, there's more good news, non-sports related. After living more than a year under this damn dirty coronavirus and all these regulations, mitigations, restrictions, and openings and closings and opens and closings again and more regulations and more mitigations, it looks like we may be able to do things again, Ben. Chicago is starting to reopen. It's true. With the COVID-19 vaccination rapidly making its way across the city, Chicago is loosening its Phase 4 regulations effective immediately as coronavirus cases and the city's positivity rate have fallen. And Ben, I know you've been dying to go, so please try to hold your excitement as we power through this news here. Be a professional. After remaining closed since Labor Day, Chicago's Navy Pier begins its phased reopening plan today, welcoming visitors back to the Chicago attraction. The initial phase, starting Friday, today, restores public access to the following parking garages at Navy Pier, Polk Brothers Park, People's Energy Welcome Pavilion, the Pier's North and South Docks, Pier Park, select rides and attractions, East End Plaza. All they've been. Oh my God, you guys can't see him right now. He is jumping for joy. Please sit down. East End Plaza, tour boats and cruises, the new Sable Hotel, and select restaurants at limited capacity. In celebration of the reopening, Navy Pier will host a 10-minute fireworks show every Saturday in May at 9 p.m., and guests will be allowed to watch the displays from Navy Pier's open spaces.
Let me say this. I understand how important the tourist industry is to the city of Chicago, and I understand that tourists love Navy Pier and that it's considered something that you do when you come to Chicago. So God bless them, man. Why? I'm not going to rain on their parade. Okay? Now, it's true that as an old guy, I kind of liked Navy Pier back in the day. D, before you were born, Navy Pier was like where hippies went.
Oh, do a lot of pot smoking there on the pier? A little pier pot smoking? Cool.
Many, many years ago, there was a college there. And then, like, when I moved to Chicago in the 80s, it was just kind of this funky place, go for bike ride, just go down to the end of it. Nobody bothering you, very chill, just the birds. Caw, caw. Those are the birds flying in. And, so then, I actually wrote a column for the Reader. It's like ancient history about the first attempts to reimagine Navy Pier. They would do that every now and then. Let's get the brightest minds of Chicago to reimagine. So they reimagined it and turned it into a tourist attraction. The tourists loving. God bless them, D. Okay, I'm not going to rain on that parade. So it's a good positive sign that we are finally emerging from COVID, even though there's no likelihood at all that I will ever go to Navy Pier anytime soon. Maybe never go there for the rest of my life, Dave. I've spent enough time in Navy.
All right, guys, wait for it. Wait for it. Oh, I thought you were going to rain on the parade, but I guess not. No, you're not going to. You mean it. Is that raining on a parade?
No, that's the rain. By the way, WBEZ, Dennis's favorite radio station, is headquartered on Navy Pier. The last time I was at Navy Pier, I believe I was actually invited to be on a WB. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
They go, get this commie out of here. This lefty stuff.
Yeah, let us know the next time you appear on WBEZ. I don't think you've been on since, months of just kind of, I don't know, ripping them a little bit, right?
No, I love WBEZ. Come on. Love WBEZ and stop that. Just they got their weird attitude about sports. Once you get past that.
Well, can we hear your impression of a WBEZ reporter real quick, though? That'd be great.
The Chicago Cubs. How ironic. Very interesting. People actually like sports.
There you go, guys. Look for Ben Joravsky's next appearance on WBEZ in the year 2020. Never. Because he's never getting invited back.
Sports. Interesting. People like it.
But guys, Ben, get this. More good news. And boy, what a day to be Ben Joravsky. Ben not only has Navy Pier announced a reopening plan, but venues like the home of your beloved Chicago Bulls, the United Center, is opening back up as well. What do you think about that?
I saw the little bit that Lori Lightfoot did, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, with the Bulls mascot and the Blackhawks mascot. I didn't even know the Blackhawks had a mascot. That's how out of it I am. By the way, just for our political junkies who don't follow sports, the Blackhawks are the Chicago's hockey team. So anyway, they have a mascot too. I did not know that. I don't know what the mascot's name is. Puck. I don't know what the mascot's.
It's like a bird or something, right?
Yeah, how do you know?
I don't know. I'm just kind of see it in my head. Hold on.
Anyway, it was a funny bit. I got to give Lori Lightfoot credit. It was a funny bit, So yeah, I'm all excited, D. They're going to allow limited seating at the United Center. About 5,000 or so people get to go in. I don't know why it took them this long to do it, but whatever. In general, D, I'm not really understanding so many mixed messages about COVID from start to finish. For instance, probably getting in trouble with all my Democratic friends, but I just, at the Joe Biden State of the Union speech, when was that? I've lost track of time.
Tuesday?
Was Wednesday.
Oh.
No, Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. Ooh, you lost track of time too. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was Tuesday. Whenever it was, it doesn't matter when it was. The point of it, when I watched it, I was struck by how they were still doing social distancing and wearing masks. At the same time, they were proclaiming that we're victorious, we're emerging. I don't know, D. I bet you every single person in the Senate or the House has the shot, except for the nutcases who are not getting it. Maybe a few Republicans. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like, why you still wearing the masks? And everybody, like some people are wearing 2 masks. A lot of mixed messages going out there, D. And I'm still a little gun shy about this. So when I go for my nighttime walks, even though the federal government says it's okay not to wear a mask if you've been immunized when you go out outdoors, when I see someone coming, I take my mask and I put it over my face. I don't literally have it around. It's like, and I'm thinking, this is really dumb. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not really protecting anyone, but just, I don't know. It's been a year in this COVID thing. But I don't know. That's what I thought, D. I thought, hey, you're sending out the wrong message. I think they just did it because they knew it annoyed the Republicans. Let's make Ted Cruz wear a mask.
Real quick, your Ted Cruz impression. Remember, all you got to do is hold your nose and talk.
I love Cancun. I'm going to Cancun.
That's great. That's good stuff.
Did you see him falling asleep at Biden's speech?
Oh, no.
He fell asleep at Biden's speech, and then he blamed Biden.
It was boring. That's why I fell asleep.
Dude, you should like apologize for falling asleep. You know, you're not.
All right, but hey, thanks to Block Club Chicago, we do have some details on the big changes here. Let's go through them. Now, first off, people will still need to keep 6 feet apart and wear face coverings, among other protective measures, all right? Officials are also encouraging people to get fully vaccinated to stop the pandemic and fully resume normal life. Restaurants and bars can increase capacity to the lesser of 50% or 100 people. Larger indoor venues for seated spectator events, including the United Center, theaters, and concert venues, can now operate at 25% capacity. Smaller indoor venues for such events can operate at the lesser of 50% capacity, or 50 people. Large indoor venues can now operate at the lesser of 25%, or 250 people. Meetings, conferences, and conventions are allowed within those rules. Festivals and general admission outdoor spectator events can operate with 15 people per 1,000 square feet. Flea and farmers markets can operate at 25% capacity or 15 people per 1,000 square feet. Places of worship with large indoor venues can operate at 25% capacity. Social events can be held with lesser of 50% capacity or 50 people indoors. If outdoors, they can be held with the lesser of 50% capacity or 100 people. I can just picture someone outside with a big list of paper. Okay, what do I do? Where do I go? Okay, no, hold on. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, no one's paying attention to any of this. Let's be honest, D. they come up with all these ground rules that you can only go this far and that far, you know.
Like you just
But I
said,
have to say this, you know, and I should be the last person in the world commenting on these things. I'm a little embarrassed to make this confession. We're now a year into the pandemic, and whenever Dennis talks about the different phases, I have that dyslexic moment of panic. Like, I can't remember if phase 1 is the intense one where everything's locked down. I mean, are we counting up? Are we going down? You know, I got a lot of issues I'm struggling with. It's a miracle I've made it this far.
the city also announced people who are fully vaccinated, meaning it's been 14 days since they received their final vaccine dose, will not count toward capacity limits at private events like weddings. Ben, I know I just read that, but what the hell does that mean?
Okay, I think that means, by the way, talk about turning to a really dangerous source here. A man with dyslexia is going to explain this. I think what that means is if there's a capacity of, say, 100 and 50 people are immunized, then those 50 people don't count toward the capacity of 100. So you could really have 150 people. Get it? So 100 people who aren't immunized and 50 people who are. But by the way, since we don't have passports, right? Which I don't understand that. Okay. So we get really specific with, like, you can't only 100 people per inch here, you know, they get regulated with the certain distances, which of course no one's going to follow, but we're not supposed to have passports. Okay. Like I said, mixed messages all over the place. So that was my struggle, D, with newspapers in general. You know, if I may, I was always attracted when I was growing up. I would read newspapers, and I always like the columnists. I would go to the columnists as opposed to the reporters, because columnists had certain freedoms that news writers don't have. News writers are constrained. There's a certain pattern they have to follow. It would like a very neutral voice, and it's, they start with the lead, what they consider the most important thing, and then you back down as you go through. You start to explain the lead, which is really confusing, because if you don't understand what the person's talking about in the first paragraph, how the heck you're not going to go to paragraph 3, 4, 5. So it's just the whole format of a newspaper lead made no sense to me. But a columnist could take the time to explain things, not assume that you know what it means. So that's a classic case, D, of like, what does this mean? What is needed next is a illustration of what for instance, if you have a wedding party with 100 people and 50 of them are vaccinated, that means you've not reached the limit. Anyway.
Oh, we got Tina on the live stream chat. I like the cut of Tina's jib. She's new here on the live stream chat. She says, okay, so now we can shame people for adding to the capacity. Yeah, that'll be coming up soon. Don't worry. Do not worry.
Yeah.
Well, I saw 26 people. I counted it. I saw 26 in that building, damn it. What is their problem?
Yeah.
Good times. All right, so that's the good and slightly more positive news. Go Bears! And Ben, can we finally make a reservation to Red Lobster, dude?
Yeah, I can't wait. Red Lobster for the seafood lover in you.
And before we go back to the typical bad, sad, and oftentimes tragic news you tend to hear on our program, Ben, we completely forgot to do our song of the week.
I am outraged at that. And we had a marketing meeting today, if you recall. We went over marketing strategies with our marketing department. And one of the top items on the list was Song of the Week and how we're going to monetize that. Remember that in the marketing meeting, D?
I know, but you missed that part in the marketing meeting where they said lie and act like you forgot to do it. And then do it in the middle of the show for people who maybe skipped the beginning. You forgot you were gone for that part. So,
yeah.
But you do have a song of the week, Piano Man by Billy Joel. Thanks, Frank.
Hold on now. Hold on. I actually know this song. Came out in the 70s, of course. I don't know what Mortal Kombat is, but I know what Piano Man is.
We'll talk about Mortal Kombat later.
Sing me a song, I'm the piano man. Sing me a song today. It's got one of the worst rhymes ever. It goes, and there's Davey, who's in the Navy. I'm like, come on, Billy. Davey, who's in the Navy? Could you come up with a better rhyme? I mean, Davey, who's in the Billy Joel's like, oh, I need a rhyme to get from here to there, honey. I imagine Billy Joel writing his songs the way Rahm Emanuel writes his op-ed pieces.
I completely forgot. Yeah, in the WCPT days, you let it be known that you're not a Billy Joel fan. I forgot all about that.
Yes, not a Billy Joel fan. Took a lot of heat, as I recall. It may have had a hand in me getting fired, D. Good. Damn.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yes. Anyway.
Dude, bro, what's wrong with Billy Joel, bro? He's the piano man, bro.
That's a real inside joke, bro.
Our old manager at WCPT. All right, so let's get into the city or the not so positive news here. The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times in David Struett. We have more follow-up on the botched police raid known as the Ann Jeanette Young case. The time in 2019 when Chicago police and a group of all-male police officers barged into the wrong apartment and wrongfully handcuffed Ann Jeanette Young while she was naked. The Chicago Police Oversight Agency says it found, quote, significant deficiencies in the department's policy and training on search warrants while reviewing a raid on the home of Ann Jeanette Young. The Civilian Office of Police Accountability did not publicly detail the deficiencies, but an agency spokesman said COPA reviewed nearly 100 allegations of misconduct stemming from actions of more than a dozen officers. He did not say what the allegations were or how many were sustained. All the allegations are detailed in a report COPA has submitted to Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown, who will decide whether to bring administrative charges against the officers. COPA said it will release the report's findings after Brown's review.
Yeah, if you want to hear more about the Ann Jeanette Young raid, we talked a lot about this when it was going down. In particular, Mayor Lori Lightfoot's reaction to it. Check out the interview that we did with Ann Jeanette Young. We dropped that a couple Sundays ago. This is very disturbing. All kidding aside, all jokes aside, this article that was in the Sun-Times, And the things that they just mentioned in passing, and just to remind everybody, Dennis gave a bit of a reminder. This took place, when was it? In 2019. Mayor Rahm was still mayor. Lori Lightfoot was running, I think, in the runoff against Tony Preckwinkle. But much of the litigation that has happened during Mayor Lori Lightfoot's watch. So the raid happened under Mayor Rahm's watch, but the litigation, the stonewalling, the gaslighting has occurred during Mayor Lori Lightfoot's watch. So just so you know, great traditions of Chicago mayors. The COPA investigation found that Anjanette Young was handcuffed immediately after officers arrived. And just remind everybody, she had just stepped out of the shower, so she's naked. These officers come blasting through her door, knock down the door, and then they discover her. Within 31 seconds of entry, I'm reading the Sun-Times story again. An officer tried to cover Young with a jacket, and 14 seconds later, she was covered more fully with the blanket. I'm like, 31 seconds? I don't know. You know, you burst into someone's house. 31 seconds is quite a long time to be staring at someone who's naked. And I just feel as though, there's just there's a lack of humanity here. I mean, it must have been pretty obvious that you had gone to the wrong house. 31 seconds, just count it down, folks. And then another 14 seconds later, so they put the blanket around her and a jacket, which didn't fully cover her up. So then another 14 seconds lapse. And this is the part that always got me. I've mentioned this all the time back when this story broke. Quote, Young was handcuffed for nearly 10 minutes before she was allowed to dress and then was handcuffed again. I always talk about that. Young was handcuffed for a total of nearly 17 minutes before officer left her home. Why? Why would you handcuff her again? So you got her handcuffed for 10 minutes. If you see the video, she's bent over trying to cover herself up. And then they go, maybe we'll let her get dressed. By then, it's pretty obvious that you're in the wrong house. She's telling you that. It's a mistake. But no, handcuff her again. Let's humiliate her a little more. I don't get it. And it's clear that Anjanette Young was no danger in any way to the police officers. You've got 14 police officers all armed? You got a naked woman? There's nobody else in the house? Why would you handcuff her again? These are quote unquote little things, but they add up. And then we have moments like the Anthony Alvarez case, which is the article adjoining this Anjanette Young story, where Anthony Alvarez is running from the police officers and they're chasing him down an alley, and he has a gun in his hand, and we don't even know why they were chasing him. And there's something clearly, people talk about the training. This is a conversation I had with Dixon Romeo, a young activist in Chicago, and it's dropping tomorrow. And he was talking about you can't reform it, can't reform the police. He is his attitude is a little harder than mine on this. But I'm like, what in the world? It's just like common sense. Why would you handcuff her after you allowed her to dress? What do you think she's going to do at that point? Anyway, D, that was my thoughts when I read this story. And I was like, oh, Chicago. My hometown. Not really, but my adopted town.
All right, and before we move on here, just like clockwork, Team Billy Joel has joined the live stream chat. Jay Marie says, love Billy Joel. What's wrong with Billy Joel, Ben? Come on.
By the way, just to say, I will address that. There's someone, if you can hear it hammering.
Yeah, I thought someone was just taking their time walking up your steps.
Let me just look and see who it is. Hold on.
All right.
Hey, we're doing a show here. Can you not hammer? Yeah, go hammer in the other alley.
I dare you to talk to someone like that with a hammer in their hand.
Yeah, if I had a hammer. Sorry, it's a song from the 60s.
All right, moving on in
Billy
today's...
Joel. What's the matter with Billy Joel? Jay Marie, I don't know. I think he's got like 3 good songs. And everything else is just kind of like stretching it. What can I say? I'm not a Billy Joel fan.
And, I'm right there with you, Ben. I don't like the guy either.
Not a Billy Joel fan. Like Elton John.
Wait, did he sing that For the Longest Time song?
I'm not a fan of that song. That song is really annoying.
Is that Billy Joel?
In my head. What song do I like by Billy Joel? I used to like Piano Man, and then it was played 415 billion times. A great song from 1973. Billy Joel's Piano Man.
All right, more Chicago news in today's Oh What a Week It Was, brought to you by Random Hammering and Billy Joel. Another day, another Chicago politician abusing their power. It's time for another episode of everyone's favorite daily Chicago political soap opera. It's episode 453 of A Mayor and Her Aldermen.
A Mayor and Her Aldermen.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
All right. Today's episode of A Mayor and Her Aldermen is starring Alderman Patrick Daley Thompson. Ben of what ward?
11th. Come on.
What a nerd.
No, that one is easy. That one is really easy. The 11th. We'll get into it, why it's so easy. Go ahead.
My coworker, the dork. The following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times, Tim Novak and John Seidel. Alderman Patrick Daley Thompson, a nephew of one former Chicago mayor and grandson of another, has been charged with making false statements and filing a false income tax return. He is the highest profile figure to face criminal charges in a case involving a clout-heavy Bridgeport bank that was shut down over what authorities say was a massive fraud scheme. Thompson, Ben, you know how old he is? Take a guess.
Okay, Patrick Daley Thompson. I could do this, D. I could do this. It's the next generation down. So I am going to say he is, I'm going to do it about. I say he's about 50.
50. How you feel about that 50? You feel final answer? Final answer.
About 50 is what I said, but do I have to be precise?
Thompson, 51 years old.
Come on. Is that about 50 or what?
That is about 50. It's about the best way you can answer that without being correct and kind of seem correct. About 50. 51 years old. Faces prosecution on 7, count them 7, charges involving Washington Federal Bank for savings. The federal indictment made public Thursday accuses Thompson of, quote, falsely representing on 5 years of income taxes, oh boy, that he paid interest on money he received from Washington Federal, even though he knew he did not pay interest in the amounts reported on the returns. Thompson got $219,000 from the bank between 2011 and 2014 before he was elected to the Chicago City Council in 2015 through a, quote, purported loan and other unsecured payments. He made one repayment on the loan, but then stopped making payments, and he failed to pay interest on the funds he received. He made one payment on the loan, but failed to pay any interest. After federal regulators shut down the bank in December 2017, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation tried to collect the money from the alderman, according to prosecutors, who said Thompson said he owed only $110,000 and that he'd use the money for home improvements. In a written statement in response to the charges, Thompson denied doing anything illegal. Now, I have some quotes here from Thompson, but Ben, your thoughts here.
Well, many thoughts, and I led off the show with referring to this story. First of all, I'll give a shout out to Tim Novak of the Chicago Sun-Times, Bulldog investigative reporter. This guy has been working on this bank scandal story for ages. It seems like every other Sunday there'd be a front page story in the Sun-Times about the bank. So Tim Novak, my hat's off to you. Very great job. He's been on this. Wow. There's political angle to this. There's the corruption angle to this. Let me just talk about the Daleys in the city of Chicago, and just it's kind of dated because it's now been what, 10 years. Good God, is that possible? 10 years since Richard M. Daley stepped down to be replaced by Rahm Emanuel, and so the name Daley has kind of lost its allure in the city of Chicago. Before Richard M. Daley, there was Richard J. Daley. So the Daleys ran Chicago from 1955, when Richard J. Daley was elected. 1955, ladies and gentlemen. I wasn't even born yet.
Damn, that was a long time ago.
1955 to 2011, when Daley left and handed off to Rahm. Can I just pause and remind people about this? This is the Chicago mentality. You know, Daley, everybody was afraid to challenge Daley, Richard M. Daley. He was considered unbeatable despite all the corruption. This is the really frustrating part of the Chicago mentality, Chicago voters. They just kept vote for Daley, always vote for Daley. Corruption comes. No, they get this feeling that the only reason Chicago is like operating, trains are running, garbage is picked up, is because Daley. Ken Davis and I joke about this all the time. He kind of buys into it a little bit, Kenny D. I push back. It's a give and take there. But this investment that Chicago has with Daley, and it's now been, so when that last Daley left, they cut a deal. This is so unbelievable. They cut a deal where Daley steps down, Rahm Emanuel leaves the White House because Obama couldn't take another minute with him as chief of staff of the White House. Can we just get Rahm out of this?
Rahm, you're driving me crazy. I can't stand you. Hate your guts.
So they move him to Chicago. Hey, let's make him run for mayor of a city he knows nothing about. And Bill Daley, Mayor Daley's younger brother, moves over to the White House to replace Rahm. And everybody thinks this is, makes sense to me. And then Chicago, they elect Rahm Emanuel as their mayor, even though he knows nothing about the city of Chicago. Just starts cutting deals, getting his cronies rich, telling us to shut up and do what he says, closing mental health clinics, closing schools. Chicagoans, they approved it. It was like this inside deal, and we were the rubber stamp. City of Chicago was the rubber stamp. So while this is going on, Patrick Daley Thompson was making his way up the ranks. He was a young lawyer. He got elected to the Water Reclamation District. He's working his way up the ranks. Oh, everybody's whispering, here comes the next Daley. This is going to be the next mayor. Who's a Daley? And of course, people are going to see that name. Chicagoans going to see that Daley name and go, I am a robot. I will vote for Daley. Chicagoan, man, you guys are kind of weird. Chicago, sometimes, I don't know, Chicago, look in the mirror every now and then. Just think about the way you behave. Yeah. I mean, goddamn, you have Daley. I'm going to vote for this guy. And it's just assumed. You talk to reporters like, the next Daley is clearly going to run for, mayor. He's probably going to get elected because they see that Daley did a good job, Ben. You have to say that. Come on, Ben. People get mad at me. Come on, Ben, say it. No, I'm not going to say it. Anybody can. The trains would run anyway, even if Daley wasn't the mayor. So they all thought Patrick Daley Thompson was going to be the next mayor, and turns out he was, to put it mildly, a little sloppy. He claimed that his income tax, he deducted from his income tax money that he paid in interest that he never paid. Oops. So that's, that ends the Daley. I guess that's it, D. That was Mark Brown's column. We'll get into that in a little bit. That's it. No more Daleys. No more Daley mayors in Chicago. How are we going to deal with that, Chicago? You okay with that? I know you're breaking out in a sweat. Mayor Lori Lightfoot kind of acts like Daley. She's got that temper. She turns people's microphones off in the city council. She disagrees with them. You know what I mean? She gets angry at you.
This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine.
Chicago, and so they're like, yeah, it's kind of like Mayor Daley. Close enough. They like a mayor that's mean. That's Chicago. We're a tough city. We're tough. We like mayors who are mean.
Once again, Alderman. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. So sorry, man. So sorry.
No. So I'll just close it by wherever. I'll let you go back to your story by just saying, I'm looking at this picture of Patrick Daley Thompson, and they got a picture. I think it was the worst possible photo. The Chicago Sun-Times. Let's really rub it in his face. Anyway, Patrick Daley Thompson. A little bit of trouble, but as he points out, it's not for anything he did as an office holder. Isn't that correct?
All right, we have quotes here. Once again, Alderman Patrick Daley Thompson charged with making false statements and filing a false income tax return. Let's read the quotes here from the Alderman. First quote. I'm very disappointed by the Justice Department's decision to return an indictment against me today for an inadvertent tax preparation error and my incorrect memory about the amount of a personal bank loan. Next quote. I discovered the tax error and paid the small amount of taxes I owed. When the bank provided me the documents showing the actual amount of the loan, I promptly paid it back. Both matters were resolved before there was any government investigation. I want to make 2 points. Thompson said, first, my conscience is clear. I did not commit any crime. I am innocent, and I will prove it at trial. Second, I am first and foremost a public servant. The charges in the indictment do not relate in any way to my public service or to my professional life. I remain 100% dedicated to serving the people of Chicago to the best of my ability. I have complete confidence in our system of justice and look forward to showing that the accusation is false. If convicted, he could face a maximum of 30 years in prison for making false statements to the FDIC and 3 years in prison for each of the false tax returns, according to authorities.
Yeah, and for a different point of view, this is an excellent sentence constructed by Mark Brown in today's Sun-Times. We got to give credit to Mark Brown. And I will now read it to you. This is a rebuttal to Patrick Daley Thompson. Thompson, for now at least, is a lawyer. How exactly he thought he was entitled to take a tax deduction on mortgage interest payments that he hadn't actually paid is just one of the many head scratchers of this case. So I would say that what Patrick Daley Thompson issued as a statement is along the lines of a filibuster. Harumph. Avoiding that central issue. What made you think you could deduct interest payments on your taxes even if you hadn't paid the interest, hadn't made those payments? Now, whether that warrants, if he did it, 30 years in the clink, I don't know. I don't think I guess that's the maximum. I don't think he's going to face that. So yes. Important point. It's not like, let's say, Tom Keene, for instance. I just thought of him. He was Mayor Daley's floor leader, Mayor Richard J. Daley. Oh, God, we're going way back. Who went to federal prison for a complicated corruption case in which he purchased land, allegedly. No, I guess he did it. He purchased land knowing that the city was going to need to buy the land for some kind of project. So that's kind of like using your power to enrich yourself. That's the distinction Patrick Daley Thompson is making. I didn't take a bribe. I didn't use inside information. So it's not real corruption. It's negligence. So that's his argument, D.
All right. Well, from Chicago Alderman present to Chicago Alderman past, no one is safe in the city of Chicago. This also comes from the Sun-Times and John Seidel. The headline reads, former Alderman Ricardo Munoz charged by feds for allegedly using Progressive Reform Caucus money on personal expenses. Prosecutors allege the one-time veteran alderman used its accounts as a personal piggy bank, stealing thousands to pay for a relative's college tuition, skydiving excursions, travel expenses, a hotel stay, and even, at Lover's Lane. A 29-page indictment made public Thursday also indicates that Munoz's behavior continued even after the Fed's aggressive pursuit of public corruption had blown into full view in November 2018. Now Munoz faces 15 counts of wire fraud and 1 count of money laundering. His arraignment had not been scheduled as of Thursday afternoon. His attorney, Richard Kling, said he had not yet seen the indictment and wanted to read it before commenting. Munoz late Thursday afternoon responded to a text message about the indictment with, "Just reading it now." And it says here, Michael Rodriguez, 22nd Ward, Munoz's handpicked city council replacement, issued a statement. He said, "I believe in restorative justice practices, and Ricardo Munoz has restoring to do. In the last part of his time in office, his actions and decisions caused harm. I am saddened by what has occurred and wish for him full recovery from his addictions while he takes the steps necessary to restore justice to those who have been wronged."
Well, I have to talk a little bit about Rick Munoz. I've known Rick Munoz for a long, long time. He was one of the quote-unquote progressives in the Chicago City Council. In the old days, used to call them independents. They've gone from independents to progressives to socialists in some cases. And this is not the Rick Munoz I knew, which either means I was blind to what was going on right in front of me, or he went through a radical transformation. And our kids went to the same high school. I'm going to really knock out the fourth wall. And they were both play basketball. And I would see Rick Munoz at the gym, and we go, you know what? We're just going to be two dads in a gym. Just two dads in a gym. Talk about basketball, talk about our kids. They didn't really do a lot of political talk at these games. Just two dads in a gym. So this hurts. And the article says that, he was an alcoholic, and his marriage was falling apart, and he was drinking, and his life just spiraled out of control. But it really hurts, because when you're an independent and when you're a progressive, you're standing up to the business as usual mentality of the city of Chicago, and you got to be like squeaky clean, because there's such a cynical attitude, depraved attitude in the city of Chicago that everyone's corrupt, and they were all just phonies and frauds and hypocrites. That's kind of the Chicago mentality. That's why Chicago, I tease you, Chicago. You go out and vote for all these Daleys, Daley. You vote for your alderman because he gave me a garbage can, Ben. And you don't care if they sell the parking meters. You don't care if they got these front operations where companies that are white owned are getting minority contracts. You don't care about the hired truck. You don't care about TIFs, millions and millions of dollars that are supposed to go to poor neighborhoods, go to rich neighborhoods. You don't care. Garbage gets picked up, streets paved. Come on, Ben. Why you got to be such goody two-shoes? And so the notion is like anybody who criticizes it is probably just as bad. We just don't know about it. And so a guy like Rick Munoz is caught doing these dirty deeds. It makes the do-gooders look bad. And just feeds that cynicism that people have in the city of Chicago. Well, everyone's corrupt, and you're all full of it, and you're all like Daley. And that's just that pervasive attitude. I don't know if it's, I get the sense that there's new people coming to Chicago, so I don't know how strong that notion is, how pervasive it still is. But it was really here and alive in the 90s and the O's. Chicagoans just had this view of themselves as operators. and they knew how the game was played, and they were playing the right game, and this is how you get ahead. And anybody who criticized them was written off as an idealist or a commie or a hippie. And Rick was one of the few guys. He would just shake his head at it. And it turns out he was kind of playing the game himself. He got caught up with it. His life spiraled out. I saw Chuy Garcia. It's Congressman Jesus Garcia and Rick Munoz were, oh my goodness, they were political allies going way back. Rick Munoz got his start with Garcia. Garcia was the alderman and Rick was his aide. And then when Jesus Chuy Garcia went to the state Senate, Munoz became the alderman of the 22nd. And so the Chuy Garcia's comment, now he's a congressman, of course, from the 5th Congressional. His comment was, well, I feel really bad because Rick Munoz's life spiraled out of control because of alcoholism and his drug dependency, et cetera, and so forth. So maybe that's what happened to him. But it does not do the cause well, D, and I know there's some people out there going, Ben, come on, it's not fair. Just because Rick Munoz stumbled does not mean all independents, progressives are bad. I understand that, but it's going to be used against you. And by the way, if you want to blast the past, Mick Dumke and I for years did First Tuesday at the Hideout. Now I do it with my Duke Masova. We had on our stage in 2014, D, one of our first shows, Rick Munoz and Danny Solis. If you want to have fun, go back and watch that episode. Both of them, now are both in trouble. I don't know where Danny Solis is. He's in witness protection, I guess. I don't know.
Mr. Solis, what's that hanging out of your shirt? It looks like a lump. What is that? Are you okay?
That's the microphone. And it's funny. I've often wondered, was he wearing a wire when he was on the stage with us at the Hideout? It didn't matter, you know what I'm saying? I mean, because obviously our shows were taped and put on the internet. But I'm just wondering if, if he was already an operative for the feds and he just didn't have time to take the wire off as he, ran from like a cocktail with Ed Burke. Oh, I got to get over to those hippies at the Hideout. Oh, shit, I still got the wire on. In which case, the FBI is listening to me and Mick. Who are these freaks? No, they're probably going, the Mick Dumke guy sounds really reasonable. Who's that other hippie? Anyway.
Mr. Munoz, I just noticed $8 $100 bills just fell out of your pocket. You can drop that. Pick it up, sir.
Now, having said all that, some of the details in the bright one, very interesting, D. And I got to admit, you remember I said that you always have to explain what something is because you can't assume that people know. And but people assume what they know, everyone knows, and that you're dumb if you don't know it. So people, Ben, you don't know what Mortal Kombat is? Good, But, my attitude is, what? You never heard of Janis Joplin? I had to explain that to a millennial the other day. They didn't know it. So here they go, D. On February 12, 2019, Munoz allegedly used the Progressive Caucus debit card to spend $160, I think. Yeah, $160 at Lover's Lane. Confession time. I have no idea what Lover's Lane is.
Oh, I was going to ask you, what is Lover's Lane? And should I take my girlfriend this weekend?
It's capital L, lover, capital L, lover, and capital L, lane. So obviously it's something. It's not like Lover's Lane, but with those lowercase L and lowercase A, just like the part in the beach where people go to make out, it's something very specific. I don't know what it is, D.
Oh, it looks like a business.
What is it? I mean, is it a spa?
Oh boy. It's a business for, intimate products. You know what I mean?
Ooh. Oh, that. Hey, come on, bright one. You could have spelled it out. John Seidel wrote it. Ben, everyone knows what Lover's Lane is. I didn't know. Now they're all laughing. You didn't know. And then there's this other one. In November, December 2018, the indictment alleges Munoz also used Progressive Caucus debit card to pay for Southwest airline tickets, Los Angeles Kings tickets. I didn't know he was a hockey fan. Why would he go to see a Kings game? And a Los Angeles Crown Plaza hotel stay, as well as at Eddie V's Prime Seafood. And I got to tell you, I've been in Chicago a long time. My first thought when I saw Eddie V's Prime Seafood is Eddie Verdoliak has a restaurant. Eddie Verdoliak, was a legendary alderman from the 10th Ward on the south side of Chicago. Very powerhouse in the 80s, chairman of the Democratic Party. He got in trouble too. I think he may be either in federal prison right now or fighting to stay out of federal prison. So I'm like, Eddie V's got a seafood restaurant? Well, I had time to look that up. Google makes everyone smart. And I discovered it's a chain. And it has nothing to do with Eddie Verdoliak. D, did you know about this chain?
No, is it the guy from Pearl Jam, Eddie Vedder?
Well, it's not Eddie Vedder.
Oh,
For 10
damn.
trivia points, what town was Eddie Vedder born in?
Cicero.
Evanston.
Damn it.
I think he went to high school with his brother.
Okay, and after learning about Lover's Lane, no, I am not taking my girlfriend there this weekend.
I got you a gift certificate for Lover's Lane.
Oh, what a sweetie.
Yeah. So, man, I'll tell you what. Rick was always like one step ahead of me in terms of knowing what was hip. So he's from the Southwest side. And I'm shattering the fourth wall here. He's from the Southwest side. One time, Ben, let's go have some burgers. So he took me to a burger place on Belmont, which now I'm forgetting the name of it. And he couldn't believe I'd never been there. He was like, you live on the north side? You never been here?
Kuma's?
Yeah. How you know about it?
I live in Chicago, dude.
The only time I've been to Kuma's was with Rick Munoz. I needed a guy from, where is it, Little Village, to get me to Kuma's. Anyway, like I said, I like Rick. It's fun to have a burger with. Hope he gets his life back together again, D.
All right, more news to discuss here. We're having a good time. Finally, in Chicago aldermanic news that shouldn't be dramatic, but because it's Chicago, it most definitely was. We can't help ourselves, people. Chicago aldermen on Thursday endorsed renaming Outer Lakeshore Drive from Hollywood Avenue to 67th Street in honor of Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable over Mayor Lori Lightfoot's objections during a profanity-laced meeting that fueled charges of racism. Ben, I know you've been following this story. Before we go any further, your thoughts on renaming highways and this potential name change on only a portion of one?
You know, I don't know. You know, naming Lakeshore Drive for DuSable, I understand the city wants to honor DuSable, the man who found the Chicago. I don't know. That gets all the issues. Well, there were Native American here already. So, I don't know. It just seems like trivialities on the part of the city council when I think of all the immense problems that Chicago is confronting right now.
Yeah, especially in like the last year. We got a pandemic we're trying to, come up over. Like, hey, let's just not worry about renaming.
This crisis of people getting shot. And then people go, Ben, you know, we could do two things at once. And I don't know. If it's a street that's named for somebody whose reputation has been tarnished by time, yes, change it. If it's somebody who has not been honored at all and is worthy of being honored, change it. But, like the Outer Drive, Lakeshore Drive, that's what we know it all is. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is what you guys, I have a feeling we're going to be discussing this. Dave Glowacz is coming on the show next week. I got a feeling we're going to be playing some of these clips. I would like to see some passion over the TIF program. This is my thing. Been writing about it for some of these aldermen are so passionate about it. This is a program that's intended to help the poorest of the poor, and it goes to the richest of the rich. When are we going to have a passionate argument about that in the Chicago City Council? Instead, they routinely approve it. So, D, it's just like I've watched a lot of political drama at the city council down through the years. And it just sometimes seems like people, it's like that scene in, oh God, I'm really going to date myself with this one. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, a movie that I'm sure absolutely.
No, that's a great movie. That holds up.
Okay, does it? All right.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great flick. And, but the inmates in the mental institution are fighting with Nurse Ratched over how many cigarettes they get. Remember that? And that's their lives are so controlled by Nurse Ratched that this is what the bigger issue is, that they're stuck in this institution, you know, and against their own will in many cases. And they're fighting over the right, whether one cigarette or two cigarettes. And it's just like, you know, when it just really highlights the point when sometimes you have nothing. The things you fight over are relatively trivial compared to these immense problems, police shootings, the carnage in Chicago. And we're fighting over naming the street. I don't know. What can I tell you? And then they dismiss. I remember when Mayor Rahm, who was Bishop Brazier. God, I'm really showing my age here. Mayor Rahm wanted to name a stretch of Stony Island for Bishop Brazier. This is like 2013 or something around there. He was in trouble for having closed schools in black neighborhoods. So he goes, I know what I'll do. I'll take Stony Island and I'll rename it for Bishop Brazier, and all the black people on the South Side will love me. And then a lot of the residents were going, we're going to have to change our envelopes. We're going to have to change our business address. You know, it was widespread opposition, and he just kind of walked away from it. So you're having some of the same complaints from people who live on Lakeshore Drive. We're going to have to change our address, and the aldermen are minimizing that. So I don't know, D.
Alderman David Moore, Ben of what ward?
Come on, Dennis. Come on, 17.
Alderman David Moore led the charge on the highway name change, and he unleashed what Franz Spielman in the Chicago Sun-Times called a tirade in response to a substitute ordinance proposed by the Lightfoot administration that sought to clarify which sections of the outer drive were or were not impacted by Moore's proposed name change. And boy, I hope we have audio from our good friend David Glowacz with these quotes as well. We have the quotes. David Moore at one point said, quote, "This is racist bullshit." Moore only became more incensed when Deputy Transportation Commissioner Tom Carney argued it was, quote, "not uncommon to clarify from a legal standpoint what portions of a roadway would be impacted by a name change, and that the outer drive is, quote, "not a legal designation." Moore responded, "That's fucking bullshit." Foul mouth, these people in the city of Chicago. At that point, Transportation Committee Chairman Howard Brookins, Ben of what ward?
21st.
My God. Brookins called for a momentary recess. When aldermen returned, Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor of the 20th Ward sided with Moore. Taylor called the substitute ordinance, quote, "very disrespectful to Moore and his co-sponsor, Alderwoman Sophia King, and the proposal they have, quote, "worked very hard on for 2 years." Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor said, quote, "This is important to the black community." How hard is that? This is crazy. Hey, Ben, there you go.
Well, I'll tell you this about JT. She's willing to stand up, not just on this issue, but in issues like TIFs, on issues like the Obama Center. See, I give aldermen, like, if you're really going to take a stand on a matter that's challenging, how power is used in Chicago, how money is spent, I applaud you. Like, earn the right. Some of the aldermen, didn't David Moore vote against the elected school board in the, I believe so. Don't quote me on that, D. I believe as a committeeman he voted against the elected.
Frank!
I was a little surprised to see that. So anyway, well, I'm sure we're going to get into that with David Glowacz next week when he comes on the show.
And there it was, a rated R special of everyone's favorite fictitious daily Chicago political soap opera, episode 476 of A Mayor and her aldermen.
A mayor and her aldermen.
I want an answer. It's not something you ignore.
I think you're 100% full of shit, is what I think. If you think
No offense, well, fuck you then.
Jesus.
Who are you to tell me I'm full of shit?
Halo.
Seriously, let's clean our mouths, city of Chicago. All right.
Never gets old.
We have just one more Chicago story to discuss. And these days, quite frankly, it's barely Chicago news anymore, thank God. Former Mayor Rahm Emanuel.
Thank you, Chicago, for this humbling victory. All I can say, you sure know how to make a guy feel at home.
Whatever that means. As President Joe Biden prepares to announce his world ambassadors, the news has surfaced yet again. The following headline comes from the Washington Post. And in a weird way, I hope it's true, because he will officially no longer be Chicago's problem. The headline reads, Biden close to naming diplomats, including former Mayor Rahm Emanuel, as ambassador to Japan. Ben, give us a percentage here. What are Rahm's chances of getting this stupid job?
I'd say it's 50-50. You know, it's clear that Joe Biden wants to reward Rahm with something. Why, I do not know. And on the other hand, Rahm is so reviled by lefties in the Democratic Party and by a lot of black people who aren't even particularly left because of the way he buried the Laquan McDonald video. So, you know, Biden wasn't going to give him a job where he had like control over budgets and like the livelihood of Americans, where he would like have to give pronouncements on policies that may be really embarrassing, you know, like when he still hasn't adequately defended why he closed the schools or why he closed the mental health clinics or why he buried the Laquan McDonald video. So, yeah, send him to Japan, you know, out of sight, out of mind. He'll be adding more names to his phone, you know what I mean? All contacts, cutting deals, getting set up for when he's done being ambassador. He'll suddenly have deals with Japan. So good for you, Rahm. He always lands on his feet, huh? He always lands. That said something nice about him, didn't they? Good for you, Rahm. Landed on your feet.
Good for you. Good for you. And, you know, once you go to Japan a few times and you can't understand what that one word they're saying is, that's Japanese for douchebag.
The Japanese are going to be like, you thought this was good? I mean, on the other hand, here we go. Ambassadors are supposed to be great diplomats. Rahm's never been known to be a diplomat. If you disagree with him, he gives you the finger. You know, he cusses you out. He's got this reputation for being an number one jerk.
Yeah.
So, like, why would you send him to a country that you want to, you know, strengthen your relationships with? He must be calling Joe Biden day and night. Joe, I'm smart. You're not.
Yeah, dipshit, yes. Diplomat, no, not so much.
So I don't know.
All right, let's
what
talk.
Do I know, D? I'm just a podcast show host in my attic.
That's true. Now let's talk some statewide news. We do have some breaking statewide news to discuss. The following comes from Axios.com. Illinois Representative Cheri Bustos announced today she will retire from Congress in 2022 after completing her current term. Bustos, who was first elected to Congress in 2012, is the former Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee chair. The lawmaker's retirement could be a chance for Republicans to swipe her seat, with Illinois' 17th district moving swiftly to the right in recent years. Here's the quote from Bustos, quote, "My North Star has always been to serve my community. It's been an honor to be a voice for out-family farmers, working families, those struggling to afford health care, and many more." Ben, are you shocked at all by this news? And like me, are you beginning to wonder, is there any more to this story? Cheri Bustos, did you do something bad?
No, I think she just wants to spend more time with her family. She probably read the tea leaves as the story indicated the area, her margin of victory keeps falling. But see, we have a redistricting coming up. And by the way, Rob Perrell, is one of our demographer, Rob Perrell, will be one of our weekend bonus shows. And he'll be talking about redistricting and the demographic changes in the state of Illinois. And this is why I always urge my fellow Democrats not to give up control of the map making. Now, I know that in a perfect world, we would have fair mapping where it would be nonpartisan, and it would be done by commissions of people who do not have an allegiance to one party or another. And it would be national, every state of the union, Republican states or states with Republican majorities in their legislators and Republican governors and Democrats. But we don't live in such a perfect world, ladies and gentlemen. We live in a world where only Democrats consider giving up their power of map making, and Republicans hoard it. And I talk about this all the time. The fair map movement in the state of Illinois is a game for suckers unless you make it a national fair map. Some of my dear friends of the progressive persuasion, they're just so nice. They're like, Ben, you have to think about this. I go, no, come on. You're fighting to take government away from MAGA. Why would you let MAGA have control? Anyway, it's my long way of saying, D, when they're done with that map, they may take portions of Bustos district and spread it out so it fortifies Democrats. You know what I'm saying? Undercuts Republicans. There's all kinds of creative things map makers can do with boundaries. If you want examples, take a look what the Republican creative map makers have done in Wisconsin and Michigan and Texas and Pennsylvania and North Carolina. So when they're done with that map, Lord knows what that old congressional district is going to look like, and Lord knows who it's going to take care of, if you will.
All right. And as you know, it's just a matter of time until a wicked game of Illinois political musical chairs takes place, and soon enough, we will be hearing the names of potential candidates to replace Bustos. Only a matter of time. Ben, any names that come to mind as early front runners?
Well, no, I can't say because I got to see what the district is going to look like. See, that's the whole thing. So it could be that her district will be swallowed up or added to Lauren Underwood's district, or Sean Castan's district, or maybe moved south. Again, it all depends with the creative map makers when they're done with creativity. Then we'll have a sense. It could be that they use her district to protect Adam Kinzinger. We talked about this with Jacob Kaplan the other day. Some strategists for the Democratic Party think it's a good idea to keep Adam Kinzinger in Congress because then he won't be running statewide, where he would be a potential threat to Tammy Duckworth or J.B. Pritzker. And it's good just to have one Republican in Congress who's unafraid of Trump. So maybe they'll use Sherry Bustos' district to fortify Adam Kinzinger and then undercut Mary Miller downstate. It's a lot of machinations that are going to be happening when they start redoing the districts. So this is just round one of it. This is, I guess, Sherry Bustos' way of saying, you know what? I'm not going to be a part of this. You don't have to create a district to save me. I'm dropping out of the game.
So you're saying both aisles will be playing musical chairs?
Oh yeah, and let's hope it's the Republicans who are like, oops, I don't have a chair. Oh, sorry.
And finally, not much to talk about when it comes to Governor Pritzker this week, so we're just gonna move right ahead.
Face coverings.
Yes, that's right. Face coverings, Governor Pritzker. Slow week for our Illinois Governor, J.B. Pritzker. But hey, here's a name you don't hear much these days, and hallelujah, if you ask me. Former Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner. Yes, former Illinois Governor Rauner was in the news this morning. And in his first lengthy interview since losing the 2018 governor's race, Bruce Rauner spoke to Richard Babcock, the former Chicago Magazine editor, about his 4 embattled years in Springfield. Ben, what do we know about old Dickie Babcock?
He was the publisher of Chicago Magazine back in the day when I freelanced for them. I met him once. I think I may have been ushered into his office. Really? It was like kind of a weird thing. I was a freelance writer, and so I would go to the offices of these publications that I was freelancing for, and I'd get to meet the boss. Come on in, son. Have a seat. And, they always have a nice office. How you doing? Tell me a little bit about you. And then at some point, like their assistant would come in and go, Mr. Babcock, your 3 o'clock appointment is here. And then, all right, son, nice to meet you. That's my vague memory. I could be mixing him up with some other editor, but that's generally how you get ushered in to meet the.
Well, he got the scoop and we didn't, but whatever.
Well, he went to Dartmouth. I didn't go to Dartmouth, so.
Damn it! Why couldn't you have gone to Dartmouth? Damn it! But Rauner spoke of his gubernatorial tenure and poured out his awkward, gangly heart. He told Babcock for a profile in the Dartmouth Alumni magazine. Rauner said that politics is, quote, brutally hard. It's nasty. It's dirty and ugly. There's a big sacrifice. I lost 22 pounds and most of my hair in the 4 years. The stress level, worrying about the well-being of 12.5 million people all day, every day. Yeah, you signed up for it, by the way. While the press is kicking the stuffing out of me every day, and my enemies are trying to kill me every day. My goodness, it was hard, but I loved most of it. I mean, 80 to 90% of it I loved. Yeah, sure sounds like it. Babcock said Rauner doesn't think his administration was a failure, citing accomplishments in education reform, criminal justice, and, of course, the lawsuit against AFSCME, the large public sector union challenging the union's right to collect dues from non-members, where the Supreme Court came down in Rauner's favorite. The former GOP governor's greatest challenge, writes Babcock, quote, was straightening out the miserable condition of the state's finances. Rauner,
oh my God! Wow.
Rauner
actually wrote that.
Yeah. Rauner blames Democratic legislators for thwarting his efforts. By Rauner's account, their only solution was to raise taxes. The conflict essentially hamstrung his administration. Rauner said, quote, some people say politics is like war. I think it's kind of true. It's war without bullets. The violence is verbal. It's not physical. The bullets are votes. There's more of this, but it's ridiculous. Ben, your thoughts?
Oh my God. I can't believe any self-respecting journalist would write such garbage. Bruce Rauner got elected in 2014, was it? Yes. And immediately held the state of Illinois hostage. And his whole goal, his whole mission was destroy collective bargaining rights in this state. And the way he was going to do that was force the Democrats to agree to his union-busting legislation if they wanted a budget passed. The state of Illinois' finances was in horrific shape for all 4 years. For him to claim that he left the government in better financial standing than he inherited is absolutely ridiculous. Say what you will about Pat Quinn. I happen to be a fan of Pat Quinn. He comes on just on the show the other day. But he had to deal with the state of Illinois in the middle of a horrific recession. Bruce Rauner inherited the government when the economy was picking up and left it in miserable shape. No budgets. The university's crying for money. Good God. How could anybody write such stuff or allow him to say such nonsense? It was all about fortifying the power of people like Bruce Rauner by destroying the collective bargaining rights of working people. And that bit about how tough government is, this guy, Bruce Rauner, made his reputation by running a company that bought companies, other companies, fired their employees, and then sold the companies. That's more rough and tumble than anything he had inherited in government. I remember the one when he first got elected, to the Tribune broke this story. I got to give the Tribune credit. This is the one where his company brought up some kind of nursing home business that had been hit with all these multi-million-dollar wrongful death suits. And when the people tried to collect on their money, they discovered that it was quote unquote owned by some guy named Barry, who was a graphic designer, didn't even know he owned the company. How is that? You're telling me a guy who was in that business, Bruce Rauner, is shocked by how brutal it is in government and whining about the press? Dude, it's not the press's fault that you broke your he got in trouble largely because he made one promise on abortion to people like Terry Cosgrove when he said he was pro-choice. And then when he got in government, he tried to alleviate the concerns of people like Jeannie Ives by saying, don't worry, I'll break every promise I ever made. And now you're going to blame that on the press? It's the press's fault? Give me a break. Well, I'll tell you one publication I'm not going to read for anything vaguely resembling truth, and that's the Dartmouth Alumni Magazine. What a joke. A hard-hitting investigative story.
Yeah, sorry about that, Babcock. And finally, and about whether he might run again, Bruce Rauner said, quote, I might run again someday if I ever get my wife comfortable with it.
Oh, God. First of all, I don't know if you could get the nomination from the MAGA control. They're so mad at you because of the way you handled abortion. Your whole life, you were pro-choice. And when you ran for office in 2014, you took out that ad in which you told all the pro-choice voters in Illinois, don't worry, I'm not going to touch abortion rights. I'm just going after unions. Well, and then a lot of the liberals, my good liberal friends from the North Shore, he's going to leave abortion rights alone, just go after unions. I'm okay with that. And then he betrayed them by cutting the deal with the Jeannie Ives of the world. Then he broke out of the deal with the Jeannie Ives of the world, which really irritated the pro-choice people. So, Bruce, good luck finding a party to run on in Illinois in the year, what would it be, 2022?
Yeah, just keep being some weird rich guy. That's, that's funny. Oh, and Tina on the live stream chat. It's her first day. You're fitting in very well, Tina. Don't be a stranger. Come back. She says, oh, yeah, and Bruce Rauner failed at ruining collective bargaining. When he did that, even Republicans named him the worst governor. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, we had fun with that one. It was a terrible governor. It was an embarrassment to the state of Illinois. And, only the Dartmouth Review. Well, I don't even know what the magazine is called. Dartmouth News. Hey, we got a scoop. I got an interview with Bruce Rauner, who is rated the worst governor in Illinois. All right. Guys, how'd you think that was going to help Dartmouth? I don't know. Maybe Rauner promised that if you put my interview in there, I'll contribute money to Dartmouth. Hey, maybe that happened. I
bet that happened. Like 100%. By the way, I think it's called the Dartmouth. So there it was, everybody. Wow, a lot went down this week in Chicago and or Illinois, but we're glad you hung out with us here as we recapped everything. Remember, you can download this show. If you missed any of it, you're listening live, you can download this, chicagoreader.com and wherever else you download podcasts, along with 1,000 other episodes of this show, all right? Go check them out, chicagoreader.com/Jarofsky or wherever else you download podcasts. We do have some weekend interviews for you to check out as well, so make sure you do that. Find us on social media at Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You could send us an email, BennyJShow@gmail.com, BENNY, the letter J Show @gmail.com. And you can call the Ben Jarofsky Show. It's true. 708-658-4788. The number again, 708-658-4788. We've been waiting a while. We haven't got a voicemail in a while. Leave us a voicemail. Maybe Jim, he stepped away from the live stream chat, and he used to do the Chicago Bulls trivia. Maybe you can step in for Jim. Do some Chicago Bulls trivia. 708-658-4788. Call the Ben Jarofsky Show. Say whatever the hell you want. We do not care. We would love to hear from you.
All right, excellent job. I want to thank the man, the myth, the legend, the pride and joy of all Illinois, without whom this show would be possible. And as Bruce Rauner, Dick Babcock, and everybody else who graduated from Dartmouth will tell you, back home in Alton, they call him Dr. D. Give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash. Have a great weekend, everybody.
State Water Survey at the University of Illinois Grid Research Institute. This is Illinois State Climatologist Trent Ford. This past week finally brought some April-like weather. Average temperatures over the last 7 days range from the low 40s to low 60s across the state, 1 to 4 degrees above normal for this time of the year. With just 1 day to go for the month, April average temperatures have been within 2 degrees of the 1981 to 2010 normal statewide. All but the very northwest corner of the state saw some measurable precipitation this week. 7-day totals range